Hello everyone, welcome back to Speaking Spurs and me, Kieran, talking all things Tottenham. First of all, I just want to apologise that you haven't actually had a video in nearly a week now, and I'm aware that we've actually played 3 matches. I've noticed a few of the subscribers have disappeared because they probably think that I've kind of lost interest in the channel. I assure you that's not the case. It's purely because I actually sustained an injury. I assume it was in a football match, but it didn't actually... There was no pain in it until later in the evening. I basically couldn't lift my right arm at all. I think I injured it a few weeks before that when somebody pushed me over from behind and I landed awkwardly. I went to A&E, no signs of a fracture or anything. They reckoned it was some kind of muscular strain or maybe ligament damage. Turns out it was just a trapped nerve. I could barely lift anything at all, couldn't rotate my arm whatsoever, and then all of a sudden, pop, I had this insane amount of pain. I haven't been able to sleep either whilst I've been in the pain, so I've been on strong painkillers. I had this sharp moment of intense pain, and then all of a sudden I had free movement again. It was still a little bit sore, but, fully recovered now. But the problem was I wasn't able to set up any of my equipment or do things like that because I need 2 hands for it. So that's why you haven't had any videos. So I do apologise, which means we actually get to go through 3 games in one hit. And it works out nicely because if you think about it, it's a week to forget for Spurs. It's been pretty poor. We've had 2 3-0 losses and a draw in there with Rennes, which is actually our most difficult game in the group stage of the EUFA Conference League. So we'll start with the Palace game, the 3-0. I'm going to make sure I sum up these as quick as I can. I don't want to do like a ridiculously long video. So we'll start with the Palace game. The lineup, Lloris, Emerson getting his first start, Tanganga and Dyer in the centre, and then Reguilon on the left. Winks, Skip and Højbjerg making up sort of like a middle 3 with Dele Alli supposedly in front of them, or on one of the wings, Moore on the other, and Kane up top. Now, it looked like a strange lineup to me to begin with. I didn't know where everyone was going to play, and then it became evident once we started playing. We were kind of in this, it was like a diamond formation in midfield, which isn't something that Tottenham play, so I'm assuming we tried this to adapt to the way Palace play. Look, it just didn't work. The idea was, with that formation, it would create a lot of space for Reguilon and Emerson. Problem was, Emerson Royale was up against Wilfried Zaha, which meant it caused him a lot of problems. He couldn't go forward as much as he wanted, which meant we created loads of space for Reguilon. The quality just wasn't there. And then annoyingly, bearing in mind we had to start this game without a load of players because we know that the Argentinian lads and Sanchez were obviously isolating. We picked up 5 injuries over the international break. Hence, when you look at that lineup, it's pretty depleted, and Skippy's back in. He's almost like a new signing again. Winks hasn't really been in the side. Tanganga's actually been playing at right back, so he's in the centre for the first time. Emerson, it's his debut. Dele's still making his way back in. Moore is in and out of the squad, and Kane hasn't really played loads and loads of football. But yeah, that formation should have created loads of space, and I think had we not come up against a tricky winger like Zaha, Emerson would have been able to join in more and we might have overrun them. However, they're always defensively sound against us, Palace. It's a tough place to go. We always, even though we get a lot of the wins, it's always really tight. We have to work very hard for them. 0-0 at half-time. The disappointing thing from us is we had no shots whatsoever. Really disappointed. Skip looked tired as the second half went on. He was just back from an injury. I was surprised to see him in the lineup anyway. But yeah, he struggled, looked tired. It looked like he'd just come back from injury anyway. The formation, I don't know why we didn't really change things early on enough in the second half. It just made us too compact in the centre of the field, and we ended up just getting in more of a scrap in the middle. Didn't suit us at all. I thought Gallagher, for Palace, he looks like a hell of a player in the making. He was really, really good, I felt, and he grew and grew and grew into the game. Royale, he had a real battle against Zaha. There was a couple of times where he got too close to him. Zaha loves the feel of a player against him. He likes him to be tight on so he can, just turn and go. I did that a couple of times. But I actually felt for his first performance against Zaha, who ended up being really fired up because of an incident that we'll talk about in a bit. You know, I thought Royale did okay. You know, a bit shocking at times, but look, it's his first game. Hasn't played a lot of football. Can't complain too much. You know, the team just found it difficult with all the changes. I felt like we really struggled to gel as a team. A lot of these guys, I know they play with each other every day in training, but a match situation is completely different. Kane, barely involved, wasn't he, really? We struggled to keep the ball. The passing was pretty shocking. The last 15 minutes of the game was pretty much all Crystal Palace. I mean, the other things as well, we held on to the ball too long at times. There was passes on, like Winks a few times should have played lovely balls out wide, delayed, and ended up having to play his normal boring sideways passes, or if he did attempt those passes, it was too late and they were cut out. Sometimes we weren't even playing the balls at all. Yeah, there was a moment that there was a move from Gallagher, and it was blocked by Reguilon. It was a great block. And then the save from Lloris, close range. Rodon, he put himself about quite a lot. He obviously had to come on for Dyer, who went off injured, and that was pretty much Hugo Lloris's fault. He sold him short with that stupid rollout that meant the challenge came in on Dyer, and it's a shame because Dyer's played well this season so far, and he looked like he was doing okay again, and it disrupted things, I'm not going to lie, but Rodon did okay. He put himself about a lot. Then Tanganga, that moment of chaos. Obviously, we have a player down further up the pitch. Palace play on, which they're entitled to do. Tanganga's not happy about this. Ball breaks through for Zaha, just comes out and throws him to the floor over aggressively. Zaha then reacts, and yes, he did put his hands around his throat, and in most situations you would say, why is that not a red card? But in the situation, the way that Tanganga pushed him, I can understand why it didn't happen. Unfortunately, that moment then ignited Zaha into life, which is not what you want. It was the only real talent that can really hurt you. And then Tanganga, like, he's got booked for that, and then a couple of minutes later, he wins the ball in defence, decides to go on a run, goes past two, plays a heavy touch, makes a stupid challenge, and look, there was no intent in it whatsoever. He's just rolled the ball too far and he's eager to keep it. Given the referee no choice, he's off, and from that moment, it was just difficult, wouldn't it? He did try to pull out of the challenge in the end, but he just couldn't do it quick enough and just sealed his own fate. So Davies came on, Winksy went off. Dele made a great block 65 minutes in, really good work from him. I actually thought as well, Tariq Mitchell, he looked really good for Palace. I thought he was solid, good in attack and defence. 72 minutes, Reguilon made a really good headed clearance. On replays, I don't think it was going in, but still, you know, good for him to put himself out there. 74 minutes in, Davies gives away a penalty for his arm being in an awkward position. Zaha takes it, he scores, 1-0 down. I mean, I actually felt in this game we needed Tanguy Ndombele to come on for creativity. We were really lacking it. Most of our midfielders that were on were defensive midfielders. Dele Alli is playing in a deeper role than he would like to most of the time. I know he had a bit more freedom in this role in the diamond, but it just wasn't working because of the formation. We just needed someone like Tanguy to take the game by the scruff of the neck, break up play, move about with the ball. Didn't happen. Højbjerg, for me, he almost did what Sissoko used to do. He just slowed all of our attacks down. He was really lacking quality, and he's somebody that is usually Mr. Consistent, so it was poor from him. You know, then Edouard comes on, their new signing, somebody I would have loved for us to have signed, by the way. He comes on, within 20 seconds he scored a goal. And then Ben Davies again, should have got tighter to him, allowed him to have the shot. 92 minutes, Edouard scores again. So if we look at the players, Lloris didn't really help Dyer for the injury. Emerson, mixed day really, in and out. Tanganga lost his head, but he was playing well up until that point. And Dyer obviously was playing well till the injury, replaced by Rodon, who done fairly well. Reguilon, another poor day. Winksy, no impact whatsoever. Skippy looked like he was coming back from the injury. Højbjerg was lacking the quality going forward. Dele battled away, but no quality. This is becoming a recurring theme with him, putting the energy in, but still lacking the quality. Mora was the only player that looked like he was going to do anything, but you know, when the rest of the team's not playing, not going to happen. Kane didn't even really notice the guy was playing. So that was that game, disappointing. Then we move into the Thursday game against Rennes in the UEFA Conference League. Different lineup here. So we got Galini in goal, Doherty and Davies left and right back. Tanganga rode on in the middle. Skip, Tanguy getting his first start. Hill, Mora, Kane and Bergwijn. Decent lineup. Look, I'm not going to lie, it was a tough game. You know, we're out there in Rennes. They had fantastic support behind them, as we saw, like when they're lighting their flares and stuff throughout the game. They were really loud, made it difficult. And it's going to be our most difficult game of the group phase, without a doubt. Playing away, it doesn't matter who you come up against in Europe. You've got an away date, it's going to be hard. You know, they've had some good times in the French league. They'd finished third a couple of seasons ago, obviously dropped down a bit further, but they have invested over the summer. I think they spent about 70 million. So they've put themselves back in a good position in the French, in terms of where they can finish in the French league. They'll certainly battle. Galini, mixed display from him, some good saves. He should have done better for one of the goals when he pushed the shot straight into the path of Laborde. But yeah, mixed day from him. He had some good moments, had some bad moments. Doherty, how many chances does this guy need to prove himself? Played under Nuno before, expected him to enjoy himself. I thought he was terrible. He got into some good positions going forward, but the quality of his balls in, absolutely shocking. I know we scored from one of them in the end with like a slight deflection, and Højbjerg gets the goal. But poor display. He even had time with some of these crosses. He's taken a touch. He's had a couple of seconds to play the ball in. Barely beat the first man most times. Really, really poor display. I can only guess it's a confidence thing with him at the moment, because he has the quality. We've seen it with Wolves. Something's just not right mentally with him at the moment. Tanganga, shaky first half, was better in the second. Rode on. He did his job at the back, what we required of him. He was the more composed of the two at centre-back in the day. Davies offered absolutely nothing going forward. I mean, he offers little anyway. Sometimes he has good moments. He's mainly there defensively for us. And defensively, he kind of did his job. Not too much went down his side. Skip, the old birthday boy. He worked really hard, but not his best day in terms of passing. Composed, not up to his usual standards, really. Composure was just lacking. But we got to expect this. Look, he's still young, feeling his way into the squad. He's done well so far. It was just an off day for Skippy. Tanguy, back in the squad, and straight away an absolutely silky back heel to get a nutmeg, which leads into Skippy playing the ball to Kane with a lovely ball round the corner for Mora to work his way down the wing, and then we get the deflection from his cross that goes into the back of the net. But I thought Tanguy, he had some real great moments, some great silky passing. It's great to see him back in the side. However, you can tell that he needs match sharpness. Like, it doesn't matter how much fitness you do behind the scenes. Match sharpness only comes from playing matches. So, he tired as the game went on. Hill, a lot of running, got himself all the way across the pitch. Didn't really make the impact in the areas that we needed him to. Look, this is a work in progress. He's one for the future. He worked hard. I'm sure the quality will come at some point. He does look a good player. Just wasn't his day. Lucas Moura had the deflected cross for the goal. He worked hard as usual, but then he went off injured, which is a shame. Adding to that list of people again. Bergwijn only lasted just about half hour. He obviously had the injury in the international break, which meant he didn't play the Palace game. Then came back into the squad for this. Looked like he was going to be lively. And it looks like he's picked up the same injury that he had on international duty, which is a shame. Probably could have done without playing him, to be fair. Then the subs that we used, Højbjerg obviously had to come on for the injured Bergwijn. He upped the tempo a bit. He obviously got himself a goal. He was communicating with Nuno a lot on the side of the pitch, talking about where he wanted the players, formation. He was then there to relay the message on. Emerson came on, interestingly, as a winger. He was in that front three. He made himself a nuisance. He was very lively, dragging players about, and I thought he was doing really well, apart from the final ball. And I think that's going to be a repeat thing with him. He looks very clumsy on the ball at times. And then Scarlett came on for Kane just after the hour mark. Didn't really get any service, so I'm not going to talk too much about his performance. We'll see better days from him. And then Dele came on very, very late in the game. So, you can look at it that was a good result in terms of the standings within our group, but based on the quality that we have and what we could have done, a little bit poor in that aspect. And now we move on to the game against Chelsea, a London derby. We end up losing 3-0, and it's a bit of a strange one. Look, we obviously had to make changes again. People came back into the squad. So, we got a lineup of Lloris, Emerson, Romero, Dyer, Reguilon, Højbjerg, Dele, Tanguy, Lo Celso, Kane, Son, Hill, Skip, Hill, Skip and Sanchez came on as the substitutes in the game. Look, it was an attacking lineup, which was very brave. We were at home anyway, so why not go for it? Lucas and Bergwijn weren't in the squad because of their injuries against Rennes. Tanganga was obviously out of the squad because he was suspended from that sending off against Crystal Palace. And then on the bench it was Galini, Doherty, Rodon, Sanchez, Davies, Winks, Skip, Hill and Scarlett. So from the off we had a high press. We were pressing from the front, stuff that we used to see under Pochettino, and it looked like we caught Chelsea out. I don't think they expected us to press that high. Tactically, it was very good in a first half sense. We needed a goal. We desperately needed a goal. Chelsea were struggling to contain us. They had a couple of moments, but you'd expect that in a derby anyway. We go in half time, Tuchel, and no matter as much as I don't like Chelsea, Tuchel is a great manager. Tactically, if something's not working, he's not afraid to change it. He made that substitute at half-time, taking Mount off and whacking on Kante. He gave them energy. And if you listen to the post-match interviews, you'd have seen Tuchel talking about the lack of energy. He wasn't happy with the first half display. Obviously, we did something well tactically, but with their quality, they should have had a better first half. He recognised, the mistake. He wasn't afraid to change it. And I wouldn't say that's the reason we conceded the goal, because we conceded from a set piece. It was a great header from Silva, and despite his age, he's still a fantastic player, and I really enjoyed watching him. And again, I don't like Chelsea whatsoever, but I enjoyed watching a great defensive display from somebody that everybody said was past it, and he's come into the Premier League and proved himself, and for that, on a personal level, I really respect that from Silva. He'd done really well. Was great defensively, he was good in attack, caused problems, stretching players. But then after conceding the goal, there was no way back into it. We kind of lost our heads a bit. Our big players just had really poor games. I mean, when Werner came on, it just stretched us even more. Tuchel knew that was the way to stop us from being able to be successful in the attacks. If we broke forward and they won the ball, we've got to worry about Werner running through. He's got great pace. And it did. It worried our defence. And I mean, at that point, when he came on, I probably would have made the sub. I'd have taken Romero off and put Sanchez on, because, look, although he was dodgy last season, he's been good so far this season. He's quicker than Romero. He's good with his blocks. And I feel like that would have gave us a bit more urgency to go forward, knowing that we got Sanchez there to cover at the back. He came on anyway, Sanchez, but that was only because of Romero pulling up with cramp. So if we talk about the actual players themselves, Lloris made a good save from Alonso's volley in the second half. Couldn't do much about Silva's header. It was a very good header. Kante, his goal was a deflected shot off of Dyer. I do actually feel, though, I don't know if it's just because of the slow-mo, I felt like he could have done better once he'd seen it. He kind of watched it, and it was almost like he expected it to either hit the post or go wide. I would have preferred that from that situation, he's seen it go that way, at least dive that way. I don't know if he would have saved it because the pace of it in the end, but I just feel like he could have done better there. But that's just me being harsh. And then the Rudiger goal, I don't really feel like Lloris could have done anything from that. It was a good finish, good movement from Rudiger, and it is what it is. Emerson, he struggled. He struggled with Alonso down that side. A very tough day for him. He made a good block to deny Mason Mount in the game. But yeah, it's just a learning curve for him at the moment. Expect him to get better as time goes on, but he's been thrown into the thick of it. He's come up against Zaha, great player, and he's now come up against Alonso, who we absolutely hate as Spurs fans, and it's because he's caused us so many problems over the years. Romero, not bad for his first start in the Premier League, really. He did his job. He cramped up in the final 10 minutes. He's going to get better with time. Hopefully he's close to recovering from the main injury that he had from the Copa America. Eric Dyer, great block to deny Alonso on the line. I mean, initially when we first saw it, people thought it was a save from Lloris. It wasn't. It was great from Eric Dyer putting himself on the line. Unlucky with the deflection from Kante, but the fact is, if you watch the replays back, he was actually telling Højbjerg to go close him down. You see him pointing, saying, get out there, get out to him, and he doesn't. So I'm not going to blame Dyer for that whatsoever. He was in the position he should be in, and had Højbjerg got himself out there, we don't concede in that position. So that's him communicating with people. And really, he had a good game. He was just let down by people around him. I mean, Reguilon really didn't help him whatsoever. He was poor. The midfield were either dropping too deep or were nowhere near in the right moments. So I'm not going to be too harsh on him, and I think he's having a good season. Reguilon, he's another one that's really annoying me at the moment. He's kind of come back this season. He's been, by his standards, he's been dreadful. I don't like to dig out players. I don't know what's wrong with him because it can't be a fitness thing because he's still running about. The quality is just not there. Going forward, he's not putting in the usual crosses. Defensively, people are like drifting past him, getting the better of him. So he needs to sort himself out, letting us down. Højbjerg, he battled in the first half really well. Second half, very quiet from him. It wasn't great for the Rudiger goal. That was him and Reguilon, to be fair. Like, you see two Chelsea players, they break backwards, which allows Werner to play that ball across. Neither of them made any movement with their players off the ball, allowed it to happen. That's why we conceded that goal. Dele worked hard, but once again, no quality in an attacking sense on a regular basis. Look, he's in there to make a difference. He runs. He's proven himself in a fitness sense, but at some point, things have got to click and he needs to get more creative for us. We need more from Dele Alli. His little honeymoon period is over now. He's back in the squad. Now it's time to take some responsibility and be one of our big game players again. Tanguy Ndombele. It was nice to see him back again. He just had a long game against Rennes. He's in again from the start. And I thought in moments, he was fantastic. He has these lovely moments on the ball. He's, like, I've spoke about him many a time. He was actually very good in our half of the pitch. He did a lot more running. My main criticism of him against Rennes is at times he just wasn't running at all. And I think that was to do with the fact that he's just lacking that match sharpness, so he's trying to conserve his energy. But I would rather he works really hard and burns himself out, makes the difference, and then we have to sub him a little bit earlier, like we had under Mourinho when he came off around the hour mark in most games. But he's actually conserving his energy a bit more and staying on longer. But that means we get overrun a little bit. But I think a lot of it was because he'd had such a long game against Rennes. He tired in the second half, and that was really evident. I probably would have taken him off a bit earlier. But, it's progression. He's getting there. Lo Celso, a couple of early chances for him. Set up Sonny, which ended up being an opportunity that was squandered. But I felt, again, he's another one that lacks quality. He done really well in the Copa America and was really important for Argentina. And for us, it's just not clicking yet. Obviously, he was isolating with the other lads. So there's a little bit of that you can kind of throw in there, but I do expect more quality from him. He's just somebody, he's on the cusp. We just need him to put a little bit more work in. Sonny had his chance on 33 minutes that was set up by Lo Celso, but barely in the game. He lacked quality. It was evident again that he's a player coming back from injury, like Skippy against Crystal Palace. Same sort of thing. I think had we had more options, you probably would have seen maybe Sonny not start or come off earlier in the game. But yeah, not a great day from him. Harry Kane, another game where he should have been in it. It should have been him and Lukaku. Lukaku was kept quiet. All right, it wasn't through lack of effort. Lukaku was kept quiet because defensively we worked well against him. Harry Kane was just poor. I don't know what's wrong with him at the moment. His desire doesn't seem to be there. The hunger, just not working hard enough for my liking. Lacking quality. Maybe lacking a little bit of confidence at the moment. But something needs to happen there. It's just not good enough, especially in these big games. And against Chelsea, he normally pops up with a great moment or two. Subs. Hill came on, he added a little bit of urgency, but again, not enough quality to affect things. Skippy came on, made some good tackles, but not much more we can ask from him. Sanchez, as I say, came on for Romero because Romero picked up a bit of cramp and came off. Not really too much for him to do, but got involved and did his job for the time he was on. But that was really it from what I would class as a poor week. Now it's time for us to regroup, go forward. We've got Arsenal coming up soon. That's a game that we're going to want to win. We've lost our last two in the Premier League and they've won their last two. So, they're back on the right path as we're on the wrong path. Now is the time. to really make a statement. I mean, we're still looking good. We're sitting in 7th. We picked up a decent amount of points from the start, not as many as we would have liked, but it is what it is. Now it is time to push on. It is time to regroup, get some players back from injury, and yes, that has been a major factor. And yes, we've still got a new manager. We're not many games in. It's going to take a while for things to click the way that he wants and players to play the way he wants, all right? So I'm not going to get too carried away of criticising us. It's just a bad week and these things happen. But it's about how we pick ourselves up, dust ourselves off, push forward. Us as fans, our job is to get behind the players and just see where we go from there. I do think that this is just a little blip in the roadmap, mainly because of the injuries and the international break. It really hurt us. And our squad was looking quite depleted. We've got a lot of young, experienced players that have come into the squad, which is always the case. You're going to have these tough moments. So it'll be interesting to see what Nuno does to sort things out. It's about the mental attitude of the players now to put the energy in and get us back on track. But us as fans will get behind the lads, push them on, see where we go. So thanks for sticking around. And as I said, I apologise for videos not going up. You know, injury didn't allow it, but I'm all good now. The videos will be more regular. I also did the Dare Skywalk at Spurs. Got a couple of little clips, but you weren't allowed to take your phone around for most of it. So I will be doing a video on that for those of you that are interested. Hopefully I'll get that recorded tomorrow lunchtime, so it should be up with you in the afternoon. So if any of you are thinking about that, it'll give you a little idea of what's in store for you. All right, so thanks for sticking around and watching slightly longer video today, but you got 3 games talk for the price of 1 video, so enjoy that. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like and comment, and as always, come on you Spurs.